Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the Tron Legacy Lab. This is the video number 2 in the series. Okay, actually it's number 3 including the introduction video. We were discussing in brief in the previous video that we created a new virtual machine and prepare it to be a domain controller, and we add 2 network cards for the virtual machine and team them and we have discussed the benefits of teaming. Then we have give this virtual machine a name, which is HDSSD when OSS01. This will be a domain controller, and we enable remote desktop connection option on the server. Just a minute. So let's continue. Here we have this server. We will name it HDSSD when OSS01, and we have enabled the remote desktop connection option on the server or on the operating system of this server. Okay, we have Windows Server 2019 data center installed on it. We have enabled network teaming, and then we have give this server an IP or a static IP address, and then we have installed the Active Directory domain services, and then we have also promote this server after installing the Active Directory domain services to be a domain controller, and we have configured reverse DNS lookup zone, and we have installed the Win server role as well. And then we have created a custom console, and we have added different consoles in it. DNS console, we have a custom empty console, and we have added Active Directory, DNS, group policy management, event viewer, computer management, Wins consoles. All these are added to the empty custom console, so we can use all of these consoles from one console only. Okay, then we have discussed, we have created the DNS reverse lookup zone, and then at the end we have created the Active Directory group policy central store location in the sysvol folder, and copy different group policy templates for Firefox, Chrome, Classic Shell and Office to Active Directory or to the new Active Directory group policy central store location. This what we have discussed in the previous video. In this video we will begin working with creating different Active Directory users, groups and computers. This will be done using a PowerShell script. As for the process of the PowerShell script, I have something like here. This is the PowerShell script, for example, that will create the organizational units for the Active Directory. This script will read the name of the organizational units that we need to create from an Excel sheet. So this is the script. It will read the name of the organizational units and their location from an Excel sheet, and then it will begin implementing, or it will begin creating the organization units. The same applies to all of the different Active Directory objects. The same apply for the user Active Directory objects. The same apply for the Active Directory group objects. The same apply for the computer objects. The same apply for the server objects. All of this we have discussed in the DC Comics domain lab, and or the DC Comics lab, and the Mass Effect lab, and in the Marvel and DC United lab. For more info, please refer to the labs that I have mentioned now. Okay, so we will begin now creating different Active Directory groups and users and computers through using the PowerShell scripts. So here now we will open our domain controller, and then we will log in with the administrator local account. We will disable this account shortly, because as I said before, it's not best practice to use this user or local user in accessing your domain server, or sorry, access your domain controller server, or to access your Active Directory as well. If you need to know what happened in the previous video, please refer to it. I have mentioned a small brief about what we have done in the previous video, but please refer to the previous video for more details if needed. Okay, and then here we go. We will access my D partition that contains the scripts that I will use to create different Active Directory objects. Here of all, you first here you can see that I am just renaming the folder and making the name of the folder without spaces between the letters, okay, because when I use the PowerShell script, it doesn't recognize, or it doesn't work with a folder that have its name, it have spaces between its names, okay, as you see now. So here, this is the location of the folder of the scripts, or this is the location of the scripts, okay, that I will implement different scripts from it. It is in D domain so and so. So this is the scripts, this is the lines. So here, first of all, we can see that I am changing in the script the location of the CSV file. As I said before, the script will read what Active Directory objects need to be created, and their names and their location from an Excel sheets, or as I said before, if you can see here from the diagram, from an CSV file. So this location of this CSV file differs from one lab to another. So I am just giving him the location of this CSV file. If you can return a little back further, we can see here that all of the CSV files, okay, that I am talking about, the organizational structure CSV, the computer CSV, the users CSV, all of these are Excel sheets that the scripts, different scripts will use to know what Active Directory objects is needed to be created, what are the names and what are the locations. So we need in the script to tell him that, for example, the script for creating organizational units, you need to know that the organizational unit CSV file that contains the names of the organizational units and their location is in this specific location. Okay, so that's I do it for all of the scripts, because as I said before, the location of the CSV files is changed from one lab to another. Okay, so here is the folder, so here is the scripts. I will tell him, for example, to create organization units, you need to get your organization units names and location from this location in this folder. So this folder, it is changed, it is not correct, so I need to give him the correct location. It will be at D Tron Lab Scripts Domain Scripts. This is the new location of the CSV file. Okay, and this applies to all of the other scripts for creating different Active Directory objects. This is also will be for the groups. This will be for the group members, because there is a script that will take specific users and put them in specific Active Directory groups. Also, this is put in an Excel sheet. Okay, and the computers also, it's in the same location. So as I said before, I am changing the location of the CSV files that the scripts will use. Okay, and put them in the script, or the line of, put them in the script line itself. Okay, so here we will copy this one. This will be the first script. The first thing we need to create is the organizational units of the Active Directory. We will right click the PowerShell icon and tell him run as administrator, and then we will change the location of C users administrators to go to inside the folders script cd d tron lab scripts domain scripts. Okay, so we'll change the directory from C users administrator to this location. Okay, and then we will begin applying the first script to create the organizational units. Okay, cd here means a change directory. So you are here, it's like doing in Windows, we are just double clicking on this folder so we can go to it, but through the PowerShell script we need to type it as a command. So if you want to change our location from one folder to another, this will be done using command. And this is another script. So the first script, we have created the organizational units, and the second script we will create the Active Directory users. Okay, why we create the organizational units before the users? Because all of the different Active Directory objects like users, groups, computers will be in certain organizational units. So the organizational units, it is the base for, or the base location for every Active Directory object. Okay, so here we go to this script that will create the Active Directory users. We also need to change the location of the Excel sheet that contain the usernames and different things related to the Active Directory users, because the script will use this Excel sheet or CSV file to create the Active Directory users. So here this is the location, we are just giving it the new location, and then we will begin applying, okay, or we'll begin executing this PowerShell script. We need to make sure that the user principal name to be at the domain that we are going to create the users in. So at ENCOMM mf.local, this is a very critical information. Okay, so now we need to create, or we will execute this PowerShell script that will read, or that will create Active Directory users that are listed in a certain Excel sheet or CSV file or text file. So the PowerShell script will read the users that are needed to be created from an Excel sheet or text file. So here we can see that he has given us notification that different users has been added to the domain. Okay, so we need to know, or we need to see here, first of all, we can see that the organization units are created from the previous script, and then if we go to the programs and users, different organization units, we can see that the Active Directory users are created. Okay, we have said before that there is two organizational units, one for the programs which are considered to be normal users, and the other organizational unit is called users. This we will have the IT personnel put in it, and we have discussed in the previous video or the introduction why we are having this different naming, programs and users. So this is the programs. We can see here that there is different Active Directory users names according to famous programs like Chrome, Mozilla, like Brave, like Bitdefender, like Akatsi, okay, like Internet Explorer, like Internet Download Manager. So now we have created the Active Directory organizational units and the Active Directory users. Now we will create the groups. Okay, so here we will go to the PowerShell script, and then we will begin applying it. So now we can see that in the security groups we can see different groups for the domain, and all of these groups are created according to different functions. Okay, for example, some programs are used for example editing image, so we will make an Active Directory group called programs for imaging, for example, and we will create another group, for example, for programs that use, for example, network. So this will called network programs Active Directory group. Please refer to my introduction video so you know why we are making this naming convention. Okay, and here we are, after creating the security groups, we need to put certain Active Directory users in certain Active Directory groups. This will be done using the third line, which is called group members. So there is an Excel sheet telling the PowerShell script which Active Directory users should be put in which Active Directory groups. So now we have done, or we have reached the group members script, and if now we open, for example, the antivirus group, okay, for example, this is an Active Directory group, we can see here that all of the famous programs for antivirus are there: Windows Defender, Norton Enterprise, Kaspersky, Bitdefender, Avera. All of these Active Directory users that are considered to be programs are added to this group, which is called ENCOMM antivirus. Okay, so we are successfully, or we have successfully added created the groups. Here what we will do a very important thing. Let me discuss it here. In this small graph, when you install the Active Directory for the first time, we have 4 built-in automatically created Active Directory groups. The first one is called Active Directory built-in administrators, Active Directory built-in domain admins, Active Directory built-in enterprise admins, Active Directory built-in schema admins. So this is very important automatically created Active Directory groups. Okay, so we will put the we have an Active Directory group in our domain that has all of the IT put in it. We will get this group to be a member of these 4 built-in Active Directory groups, or automatically created Active Directory groups. Why we are putting this, or we putting the IT Active Directory group to be a member of these 4 Active Directory built-in groups, so we have full control over the Active Directory features. So we can, by putting ourselves in these 4 Active Directory built-in groups, we have full control over the domain and over the Active Directory. Okay, and by default, the domain admins and the enterprise admin groups, these 2 groups are a member of the administrators group. So if I put the IT group in the domain admins and the enterprise admins, I am putting also as if I am putting also the IT group in the administrators, because these 2 are members of the administrators group. So we will put the IT to be a member of administrators, domain admins, enterprise admins, schema admins, to have full control over the Active Directory. Okay, and we will use one of these IT personnel in this IT Active Directory group to access the domain, and we will close completely the local administrator account. So let's do it now. First of all, we need to move a couple of users from the programs to the users, because actually, for example, Sam Flem and all of the users that I will select, this should be the IT personnel. So I have mistaken and put them in the normal users organizational unit. So I will move them from the normal user organizational units to the IT organizational units, which is called users. Please refer to my introduction video to know why this naming convention is used, because maybe from the first time it seems to be a little bit confusing, but this is normal, because we are in science fiction, or in a virtual environment, or in the grid. The grid contains programs and users. Okay, so the users are considered programmers, which are considered to be IT in our case. So here we will move all of the users, okay, like Sam Flynn, Kevin Flynn, Alan, all of them will be moved to the users. So this organizational unit will contain the IT personnel. And we will leave the different programs in the organizational unit of programs. So we will use all of them, or we move all of them. If you can see here that this group, you can see that ENCOMM users, this is the IT Active Directory group. This group will contain all of the users like Alan Bradley, Ed, Jordan Kansas, Kareem Raouf, Kevin Flynn, Laura Baines, Sam Flynn, Walter Gibbs. All of these are users or programmers. So the programmers are considered in my lab the IT. Okay, so all of this, and the IT group, it's not called Active Directory IT group, it's not called IT, it's called users. Okay, according to the movie, because the users are considered to be higher level of programs. The user is much more, having more permissions and tools more than the program itself. So here this is all the IT personnel. So let's continue. So Aaron Bradley is a user, so we'll put it in the users Active Directory organizational unit. and we will leave only the organizational unit of programs. It will contain only programs. Okay, so here, as I said before, we'll go to the domain admins and we will add the ENCOMM users active directory group, which is considered in my case the IT group, to be a member of the domain admins, enterprise admin, schema admin, administrators, so I can have full control over the domain. So we go to the enterprise admins. We can see that they are a member of the administrators built-in active directory group. We will see that in a moment. So now I am adding the IT group in the enterprise admins, and in the schema admins I will add also the IT group. Okay, and then go to the administrators, okay, in the built-in. But I don't need to do this step, because I said before, putting the IT in the domain admins and enterprise admins active directory groups will put them automatically in the administrators active directory group. Okay, but anyway, we have added them also, so now I can have full control over the domain. Okay, the IT active directory group will have full control over the domain, and this is my active directory username. I am in the IT group, so I give myself a password because I will use this active directory user to access the domain, and we will close the local administrator account. We have discussed in the previous video why we need to close this account in specific. It's a best practice to rename it, give it a strong password, and close it, and make another user that have the same privileges of this user, and use it after that. We will have a group in the active directory called all grid. This contains, or this will have all of the active directory users objects in it. So the programs and the users, or the programs and the IT, all of them will be in one group. Why we do this? If, for example, need to have a group policy to be applied to all of the users in the domain or in the active directory, this will be the group that I will attach my group policy to it. For example, if I need to close USB for all of the users in the domain, so I will use this active directory group to attach it to my group policy that will close the USB or DVD, for example. Here I am putting both programs and users in the same group. So as I said before, it will contain all the grids. As I said before, it contains programs and users, so it will contains all of the users in the programs organizational unit and all of the users in the organizational unit called users. Here we will have a group called global share. This, after that, we will have a share that all of the active directory users should see it. So I will use this group, okay, to map a certain department share, or to map a certain shared folder to all of the users in the active directory. Okay, so just renaming this to be a global log. Okay, so now we still have the computers and the servers are not created yet, so we need to complete the process. We need to go to the scripts and create the robots or the workstations and or the light cycles, as we have discussed in the introduction video, and then we will create the workstations and servers with the upcoming PowerShell script line. So now if we go to the light cycles, okay, we will see that this is the computers or the light cycles, and then the last line will create the servers and workstations. Okay, we can see here that this is PES, this is for the workstations, and SS is for the servers. Please refer to my introduction video to know why we have this naming convention. Okay, so here we have everything created. Okay, we have everything working. Okay, this for example, this user, it's called Akatsi. This is a very famous program for image viewing and editing. We can see here, for example, that this program is a member of a CPU basic, graphic basic, image viewer, internet basic, all grid. So this user is a member of all of these 4 Active Directory groups. Now we will begin creating our group policies. Okay, different group policies to be applied to the domain. Okay, but first of all we need to know something, that we will create 7 group policies. All of them are blank, they doesn't contain any setting, and then I have exported from previous labs group policies that are already configured, and I will import these exported group policies to my newly created group policy objects, which are blank. So I will import the setting of every group policy from previous exported group policies that are already configured. Okay, I will show you all a little bit of a graph also here to discuss what are the different group policies that we will apply. For example, we have here the default domain policy. It will contain policies that will apply to all organizational units, like password policy, welcome message, administrator, local administrator, username change. Please refer to my previous playlist, DCCommX lab and Mass Effect lab, to know more about these 7 group policies. I will discuss it briefly, but if you need to know more, please refer to my DCCommX lab, Mass Effect lab, and Marvel and DC United lab. So this is the first group policy, and then we have a mapping policy. We will use it to map different shared folders that will be assigned to departments to be mapped as network drives or network mapped drives. So we will map different shared folders, will map different shared folders at network mapped drives. So we're using a group policy. And then we have the WSOS policy. It will inform the clients and the servers by the name of the WSOS server and what or how the updates will be downloaded and installed. For example, for the workstations, the download of the updates and the installation of the update will be done for the user automatically by the server. So the user will not need to download the updates and install them by himself. This will be done for him. As for the servers, the administrator should download, or the updates will be downloaded for the servers automatically, but the installation should be done by the domain admin or the administrator of the domain. This is because the servers are very critical. They need to be online 24/7, so the updates should be installed by the administrator. Why is this? Because some updates need the machine to be restarted, so we don't need to have this situation on a server. Okay, as for a normal client, this is not important, but as for a server, if the server is restarted automatically, this could be a disaster, because some users are connected to the domain controller, so they will be down. Some users are connected to application servers, they will also be disconnected. So what we are doing, we are deciding in the WSOS policy for servers that the updates for the servers should be downloaded, but the installation should be done by the administrator, so he will know exactly what is the time of the installation of the updates, so he can inform the users, for example, that he will have a downtime for a certain amount of time. If we didn't do this and the servers will be restarted automatically, this could be a problem. Okay, so this is the WSOS policy, and please refer to my DCCommX lab and Mass Effect lab and Marvel and DC United lab for more info. And this is the classic shell group policy. This is a program that changes the Windows 10 start menu, this one, changed it from this one to be like the Windows 7, like this one. So we have two group policies to control what users should see from this program. For example, I need them not to see the run, I need them not to see the PC setting, for example. All of this can be controlled using these two group policies. I will make one for the IT concerning this program. I need all of the IT to see all of the features of this program. As for the normal users or the limited users, they will see certain things. For example, the run will be closed or damped, and the PC setting will be damped. Control panel we will see we will be damped also. Anyway, yani, so this is the two group policies, and we'll have at the end two group policies to control which users should have the USB and DVD opened and closed for them. So for example, the advanced users group policy, we will open USB and DVD for them. As for the default users, we will close the DVD and USB for them. One thing to mention, that after creating these group policies, for the group policy to be implemented, you need to have two things. You need to link it or apply it to a certain organizational unit and to a certain Active Directory object. So for example, if I need to the default to the main policy, I need to apply it to the to the admin's organizational unit or the user's organizational unit. So this is the first thing, and I need this group policy to be applied to users in this organizational unit or Active Directory users in this organizational unit. For example, if this organizational unit contains Active Directory users, computers, groups, so I need this group policy to be applied to this organizational unit and to be applied to a specific Active Directory object, which will be the users or the groups of authenticated users. So for the group policy to be applied, you need to have two conditions. Group policy should be linked to a certain organizational unit and to be linked to a certain Active Directory object. This Active Directory object could be groups, users, computers, any Active Directory object. We have discussed this also before in the previous playlist or labs, like DC Comics lab, Mass Effect lab, and Marvel and DC United lab. Sorry, I am repeating this because this is very important, because some maybe could not understand what I am talking about, but I have discussed this many times before, so I need the time for the video to be less, so I will not discuss certain issues that I have discussed before and repeatedly in the previous playlists. So for example, here we can see that this is an organizational unit that contains a lot of users. In this organizational unit, I need some of them in this organizational unit to have the USB and DVD opened for them, and some in this organizational unit I need the DVD and USB to be closed for them. How we will do this? We will link the advanced users group to be applied to a certain Active Directory group. This Active Directory group will contain the users that I need the USB and DVD to be opened for them. So this group policy will be applied to a certain Active Directory object, and the other group policy that will close the DVD and USB will also be applied to a certain Active Directory group, okay, that contains the users that I need the USB and DVD to be closed for them. Okay, so through using the Active Directory groups, we will link certain group policies to a certain Active Directory groups. Okay, why we are doing this? Because for example, this contains organization will contain users that I need, or it will have the users that I need to open the USB and DVD for them, and the users that I need DVD and USB to be closed for them, all are in the same organizational unit. So how can the group policy differentiate what users to apply the group policy to? So it will be differentiated using the Active Directory groups, or what we call security filtering. We will see that in a moment in the video. Okay, so let's go to the lab again. So here we will begin creating the 7 group policies. They are blank, or they don't contain any configuration. And then I have from my previous labs ready-made or exported group policies that are already configured. So we will have our 7 blank database blank group policies created, and then we'll import the setting of these group policies from previously exported group policies from previous labs, and they are already configured. Okay, so here we can see that I have a folder called Marvel GP. These are the exported group policies from the Marvel lab. Okay, and they are configured already. So we will create 7 group policies, and we import their setting from this folder, which calls Marvel domain group policies. Here we can see something. This is a folder we'll call backgrounds. I will discuss what is this folder in specific and what it do, or what is the function of this folder. Okay, but just wait for a moment. So here also we'll have something called a login script. Okay, what is a login script? We need also to discuss this also in a graph. I need, for example, here we can see that this is a login script that will be applied to every Active Directory user that logs into the domain. For example, I need the user, when he logs in with his Active Directory user for the first time in any PC in the domain, I need some things to be applied to this user. For example, I need the first 3 lines. What they will do on this script, okay, they will make this PC, okay, appear for the user on the desktop, because this is not appearing by default when you create or when you have a Windows user profile. And I need this PC to be changed and the name of computer to be added instead. So we'll have the computer icon appearing on the desktop, and we will change this PC to reflect the computer name. So this is the first, okay, or let's go here, this is the first 3 lines in the script. And then we have 1 2 3 4 5, we have 4 registry keys that will be applied to the user. Okay, these registry keys, what they will do, for example, when the user logs in for the first time, he will have the English and Arabic keyboard layout installed, he will have the Cortana hidden, he will have the time zone changed to Cairo time zone, and different settings. So this will be applied to him. These registry keys that will apply what I am saying now, these registry keys are in another folder, okay, or in another location. So I need to go to this location. So this is the other location, it's in the backgrounds. Okay, this is the folder that will contain the registry keys that will be applied to the user. This folder called backgrounds should be shared, okay, and I need to give all of the Active Directory users permissions to access this folder and execute the registry keys. Okay, so we need to share this folder so the Active Directory users can apply the script. Okay, and I need to give them the permission to execute the files. So they need to have 2 permissions. The users should have read and execute permissions, and the folder should be shared so the Active Directory users can reach it. Okay, so this is the folder and it is shared. I said before, it should be shared. Okay, so users can reach it. Active Directory users should have access rights on the background folder to be able to see the reg files so the mycomputer.bat can run them. Okay, so here this is the script. Okay, and a part of the script, it will run some files in another folder, and this is the other folder. Where is the location of mycomputer.bat script? It is in this location, in folder called C Windows Sys Vol Scripts, or the share name net login. Okay, so this is the location of mycomputer.bat script. It is here, okay, in this location. Okay, so we need to copy this script and put it in C Windows Sys Vol Scripts. Okay, so this, by putting it in this location, the script will be applied to every Active Directory user. We have still another step missing. We need to go to every Active Directory user properties and type in the login script the name of the script, mycomputer.bat, and the Active Directory knows where to get this script. He knows that it is in C Windows Sys Vol Scripts or net login. He knows. Okay, so we just need to copy the script, put it in this folder, tell the Active Directory user the location of this script, okay, or tell him the name of this script, and he knows the location. He will know the location automatically, so he can go and run the script. And also these two folders should be the user should have right to see what in these folders and execute what in these folders. So these folders are shared by default, but they are hidden, and they have different permissions, or they have permissions to read and execute from these folders. Okay, so this is a script that we will apply to the users. All of these I have discussed in the DC Comics lab and the Mass Effect lab and the Marvel and DC United lab. Okay, so now what we will do, we will begin copying the script. So we will copy the script here and put it in the sysvol folder, okay, or the net login sysvol and then local and then scripts. We will put the script here. Okay, and then we need to check, or we need to select all the Active Directory users objects and type in the login script field the name of the script. Okay, so the users of the Active Directory can go and execute the script. And we need to share the background folder, the folder that will contain the registry keys that will be applied to the user. Okay, because the script have two parts, a part that will be applied normally and doesn't run from any location, and the second part of the script, it will run certain files from certain folder in a certain location. So this folder should be shared, and users should have permissions to access this shared folder. Here we can see that I am copying a file called idle logoff. This is a program that will log off the machine if it is idle for 3000 seconds, and this is a part of the login script. I am telling the login script if a user doesn't use the machine for 3000 seconds, please refer or go to C Windows idle logoff folder and execute the or initialize or run the program called idle logoff.exe. And as soon as this program is initialized, it will begin monitoring the PC, and after 3000 seconds, if this PC doesn't have any activity, it will log off the machine. So now we are sharing the background folders. This contains the registry keys that the script will need to go and execute it. So backgrounds, we will remove every one group, and then we will add ENCOMM all grid group that contains all of my Active Directory users, and the domain users also Active Directory group. This contains all of the Active Directory users in the domain, and we will add the IT group, or the users that are considered to be an IT. We will give all of them, or we will give the IT full control, and ENCOMM all grid and domain users will have only read permission. Okay, this is for the SMB share permissions. As for the NTFS share permissions, we will give them read and execute. Okay, so we'll add the same groups again in the NTFS or in the security tab, and we will give them all read and execute except of the IT group, which will have full control. To know more what is the SMB share permissions and what is the NTFS share permissions and what they do exactly, please refer to my DC Comics lab, Mass Effect lab, and Marvel and DC United lab. So here, okay, we will add it. They will give them full control. So now we have shared the folder of backgrounds that will contain the registry keys that the login script will run. Okay, here I'm just editing the script. We can see that the location, it is background. This is the folder that I shared from a couple of seconds. Okay, that will contain the registry keys. Okay, so now we will select all of the users. Okay, and in the login script field we will type the name of the login script. Okay, so all of the Active Directory users know what script name should they execute, and the location also will be provided to them automatically, so you don't need to worry, because the Active Directory users know already where is the location of this script. So here we will select all of them, and we will go to the Profile tab, and we will click on Login Script, and we'll type the script name, mycomputer.bat. okay, so here now this is for the programs and this is for the users. We need not to forget that there is some users in 2 organizational units, so here we will also put mycomputer.bat. So now we have our login script applied to all of our users. We now need to create the 7 group policies that we have been talking about. We will have them blank, and then we will import their setting from previously exported group policies. okay, so this is the 7 group policies. We will take the name of every group policy and create a blank one in it. So that's the moment, guys. So here, for example, we create advanced group policy. This is blank, and then we will have all of them created. Just a moment. So let's continue. Here we will begin creating different group policies, and all of them are blank group policies, and then we will import the different setting for every group policy. We will import them from previously exported group policies from a previous lab. So here we are just doing the 7 group policies, okay, one by one. There are 7 group policies, okay, and then we will, after creating them, we'll right click every group policy object, and we'll tell him to import the setting for this group policy object from previously exported group policies, okay, from previous labs. Okay, so I have created all of them. So I think I now am accessing my laptop, okay, hard disk. Here I am taking, or accessing my laptop hard disk from this virtual machine, so I can install a couple of programs. I need to install the Classic Shell program because I don't have it installed on the server, and I will install the 7-zip program. Okay, why I'm installing Classic Shell? So I can test the Classic Shell group policy. Okay, so we'll have the 7-zip and the Classic Shell. So we'll run the 7-zip. It's for the 64-bit operating system, and then we will install the Classic Shell as well. So now we will right click every group policy and tell him to import the setting for this group policy. Next, first of all, I am installing the Classic Shell program. Next, install. and then this is the 7-zip. We will install it. Finish. Then we will import setting, and then we will choose the location of my previously exported group policies and tell him to import these exported group policies one by one. Okay, and then we will go to D, to the my folder, and then to the Marvel domain group policy, which are exported group policies. Next, and then we will choose one by one or import one by one. Okay, so this is the first one. Okay, and then we will export the second one. We can see that every blank group policy name have another group policy with the same name which is already configured and exported from a previous video. So I am importing every one, or every blank one I import the setting it from the same name from the previously exported group policy. Okay, so group policy limited, group policy limited. Okay, and then okay, and then we need to tell him okay. In this we need to click on default domain policy and default domain controllers policy and click OK for every message that appears for us. Okay, why this happens, because I have changed the location of the group policies from C Windows policy definitions to sysvol folder. So he's telling us that the sysvol for the group policy location has been changed. So I need to tell him okay to fix this issue. Okay, we need to do this urgently. So now we are importing the different group policies, and after importing all of them, we need to link every group policy to its respective organizational unit and decide in this organizational unit that this group policy it is linked to what type of group, what type of Active Directory object it will be applied to in this organizational unit. We will see that in a moment, so don't worry. The WSOS policy. So now we will link every group policy to its respective organizational unit. For example, advanced users group policy and default users group policy, these two group policies for enabling and disabling USB and DVD, this will be applied to the program's organizational unit. Okay, so we can see here, for example, here is the different organizational units. We will link every group policy to its respective organizational unit. So here, advanced users group policy, it's linked to programs folder organizational unit. Limited will be applied to classic shell limited will be applied to the programs organizational unit. Default group policy will be applied to the programs organizational unit. Classic shell admin will be applied to the users. Okay, and the WSOS policy will be applied, or the mapping will be applied to all of the organizational units. Okay, not only users, it will be applied to all. Okay, and as for the WSOS policy, will be applied to the workstations only. Okay, which is the light cycles or the HDSS PDS. Okay, HDSS DPS. ماشي. So here we can see that every organizational unit will have a certain group policy to be applied to it, and then we will go to the advanced group policy that we need in the security filter. Here we need the group policy that will open USB and DVD for users. We need it to be applied to the programs organizational unit to a certain Active Directory group. Authenticated users, it will be applied to all. I need certain users in this organizational unit. Okay, the USB and DVD to be opened for them. So how I can control this? Through the security filtering. I will tell him to enable USB and DVD for the users in this organizational unit on one condition: this user should be in a certain Active Directory group. Okay, so here we will remove authenticated users, and then he's telling us a message that after you remove authenticated users, you need, if you add any other Active Directory group, okay, you need to go to the delegation tab and add an Active Directory group called domain computers and give it read permission to this group policy object. This is very critical. Okay, if you didn't do this, this group policy will not be applied. This is from Microsoft. If you need to apply a certain group policy and the security filtering contains an Active Directory group, either or not, it's not authenticated users, you need to do the following. You need to add the Active Directory group and go to the delegation and add a group called domain computers and give it read permission on this group policy. So this is very critical. If you leave the security filtering with the authenticated group, users group in it, you don't need to do what we will do now. But if the authenticated users is for any reason removed and another Active Directory group is added, you need to go to the delegation and add the domain computers Active Directory group and give it read permission to this policy. If you didn't do this, this group policy will not be applied. Okay, so here what we will do, we will add, and then we will start ENCOMM f/advanced. This is the group that contain the users that I need the USB and DVD to be opened from them, and then we go to delegation tab. They will add a group called domain computers. We will give it read permission, okay, to this group policy object. And this what was the notification that appears for me when I removed authenticated users. Okay, so here we will do this, and we will do this also for the default users group policy. This will disable USB and DVD, and I have changed the authentication. Here is the group policy warning message, and then we will add another group called ENCOMM default users, and then we'll go to the delegation and then tell him add the domain computers and then computers and then okay and then okay read permissions. Okay, so now we have all of our group policies linked properly, and the security filters are organized properly, or it is also configured properly. So we need to restart the server and see in action the different group policies and their implementation on our server. First of all, we need here to go to the default domain policy and to change some setting in it. We need to have for all of the users for the Active Directory to have a certain background, certain screensaver, certain lock screen to be applied to all of them, and they don't, or they will not be able to change it. So we need to force a certain background, a certain screensaver, a certain lock screen, all of this to be applied to the all of the users in the Active Directory. This will be done through the default domain policy. Anyway, what here I am doing, I am telling the classic shell that when I right click the start menu, I need a certain menu to appear, which is called WinX menu. So here this is the one. I tell him to run, then okay. So here the certain background and screensaver and lock screen to be applied to the users. This background JPG or photo and the screensaver and lock screen, all of this is in the backgrounds shared folder, the one that we have shared from a couple of minutes ago, the one that will contain the registry keys that will apply to be applied to the users, okay, in the login script. So here we need to tell the default domain policy to get a certain background and a certain screensaver and a certain lock screen from a certain shared folder, which is called backgrounds. Okay, anyway, I need to pass this real quickly, just a moment. So here we will go, and I also need to pass this also. Okay, so here we will open the default domain policy and tell him edit, and then in a certain group policy item which is related to the background, we will tell him to enforce a certain background, and the location of this background JPG or photo, it is in the shared folder which is called backgrounds. I have discussed this a lot of times in DC Comics Lab and the Mass Effect Lab and Marvel and DC United Lab. All of this we have discussed this before. I am going it very quickly because we need the time of the video to be less, so I need users to be familiar with what I am doing. Here in the personalize, we need to enforce a certain background. Okay, default lock screen, so this is the one. We need to have a certain lock screen. The location of this lock screen, it is this shared folder, and at the end the name of the JPG that will be our lock screen image. Okay, so this is for the lock screen. As for the background and the screensaver, we will see it now. So this is the location of the lock screen, which is a folder that is shared and it is named backgrounds. Now we will go to the user configuration, and then in this section we will find the background that need to be forced to every user. Okay, it's in administrative templates. I will see that now, just a moment. Active Directory or desktop, I think. Active or desktop, yes, and here we say desktop wallpaper. This is a certain wallpaper that will be applied to the users, and we will stretch it. Okay, this is the name of the photo, which is called background.jpg. We will see that when we restart the server, we will see that in action. And then we need a certain screensaver to be applied to the user also, which should be in the personalize or display or personalization, and here we can see enable screensaver and then force a certain screensaver or force specific screensaver. Okay, this is also in the location shared, which in backgrounds. Okay, this is the name of the screensaver. So now we have almost complete our group policies, login scripts. We have also, I need to have a certain Windows theme to be applied to the users also. This will be done, and the theme, it is in the folder of backgrounds also. So we have our login scripts applied, we will have our group policies applied, you have our users and computers and groups, and all of these are created using Powershell scripts. So the last thing that we will do in the upcoming video, we will begin creating different department shared folders, and we'll create user home directory folders, and we will create a DHCP. This will be done in the upcoming video. And then after that we will begin our process of migrating all of this to a newly complete or a newly different domain, which is this domain is called ENCOMM .local. We will have a new domain called ENCOMM version 2.local. So now we will restart and see the different group policies and login script to be applied. So we need to wait for a couple of seconds. We'll make a restart. Can we see here we need to change this welcome screen from Marvel Studios to ENCOMM Studio. We will see that also in a moment. This is my Active Directory user. We will use this user from now and then, and we will close the local administrator completely after renaming it, the local administrator account, rename it from administrator to any other name and give it a strong password. We have done this, and then close it, and then Karim Raouf user have the same rights as the administrator or as the local administrator, the one that we will disable it. Okay, this is done through the default domain policy. I have configured it to disable all of the local administrator accounts of all of the servers and workstations and rename them. Okay, so here the login script, it is applied. We can see that this PC, it will be on the desktop, but it will be changed. The text of this PC will be changed to reflect the computer name. We will see that in a moment. We can go it a little bit quicker here. So here we can see that the name of this PC is changed, and something called HD SSD when OS S01, this is the name of the computer. It has replaced the text that is called this PC. Okay, so this is the first line of the script. It is applied. Okay, and then I need to get my console. You remember that the console, the custom console that contains all of my Active Directory tools, it is on the administrator user account. So I need to copy it from the administrator account to my Karim account. So I now copying it, and then we see here that still the timing is not changed to Cairo time zone, and the Cortana, it is disappeared, but the English and Arabic layout keyboard is not installed. So after doing a second restart, all of this will be fixed. This is in a virtual environment. In a real environment, this will not appear. So here this is a program that I use to mark. This is called Epic Pen. It is a very good program you can use to draw on the screen or draw on your laptop screen. Okay, here we can see, for example, that I'm show you all this one, that the name of the PC. Okay, okay, this is the one. Okay, this is the name. Change it from this PC to another thing. Okay, and as you can see that the background, it is changed, and this is the different registry keys that should be applied to the user. So now we will make another restart to see. First of all, we need to change the welcome screen from Marvel, because it's not Marvel, it is ENCOMM. So we will go to the default domain policy and change the welcome message from Marvel to reflect the ENCOMM MF domain. this will not pass. Anyway, so this is the login script. We can see here that these are the 4 registry keys, okay, that are contained in the background folder. Okay, so these are the registry keys, okay, that it is contained in the shared folder which is called backgrounds. Okay, here you go. So this is the registry keys. Okay, this is 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and here I'm just edit this registry key to show you all what this registry key contains. This is the 2 keyboards, the English and the Arabic. Okay, so this registry key will install 2 keyboard layouts, and the performance setting, this will disable any animation setting for the Windows to make the Windows more faster. This is the registry key number 2. And then we have the search and hide. This registry key will hide the Cortana, okay, in the Windows. So search box taskbar, okay, and then we will have the time zone. This is will implement the time zone of Cairo. So this will change the time zone from Canada, which is the default one, to include the Egypt Standard Time. Okay, this is the one. This is a little bit of a tour in this registry keys and what they do. Now we will change the welcome message or the welcome screen message from Marvel, because this was in the previous lab. We will change it to ENCOMM, okay, domain. So this is done through the security setting, and then we will go to the account policies, or I think local policies, okay, not the account policies, local policy, and then we will go to the security options, and then we will have something called interactive login message, okay, or something called, yes, interactive login message title. Okay, so this is, we change it from Marvel Studio to ENCOMM. Okay, we will see that when we restart the server for the second time, we will see the change. ENCOMM mainframe, okay, the grid. Okay, so this will be the title of the welcome message. We will see that when we restart the server for the second time, we will see the change. Remember that it has Marvel Studio, the welcome message. After restarting, we will see the welcome message changed. Okay, we can see here that the Windows theme, it is changed. After restart, we will see the welcome message changed, and the English and Arabic keyboard layout will be installed. ENCOMM mainframe, the grid, as we can see here. Okay, this is the one. It is changed, okay, from the grid, sorry, changed from Marvel to ENCOMM mainframe, the grid. Okay, so now we will open, and we can see that after that the English and Arabic keyboard layout, it is installed. So if this is anything not clear in this video, please refer to my DC Comics lab and Mass Effect lab and Marvel and DC United lab. I have discussed this in details because, as I said before, I need the video to be shorter in time so you can all cope and you can all see it, because I have a complaint that most of my videos are too long. So anyway, we can see that the time it changed to 8 p.m. This is the time that I was recording the video. It was 15/11/2019, the last year, or last year at November. As here we can see that after a couple of seconds, okay, just here we can see here, just a moment, I think it is paused. Okay, here we can see the English and Arabic. Here we can see that the English, okay, and Arabic keyboard, it is installed. Okay, and we also open this one. We can see that Arabic and English is installed. Okay, so our lab is, or our video is almost complete. The upcoming video will begin making or sharing folders to different departments so they can put their important data on it. We will map these shares to be as network map derived using a group policy, and we will create user home directory folders, and we will create a DHCP. And this, the upcoming video, will be the last video in the configuration of the Active Directory of ENCOMM.local. After that, we will create a completely new domain which is called ENCOMM version 2.local and begin the migration process of all of what we have done in the previous videos to be migrated to this ENCOMM version 2.local domain. Hope this video was informative for you all, and I would like to thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.